Hello everybody, my name is Joel Morgan and I am the head sports writer and content creator here at Game Changers 365. Today we will be going over our NFL predictions for the 2026 calendar season. We will start by doing the season predictions for each team, looking at their schedule and giving out wins and losses. Next, we will go into our predictions for awards at the end of the season, with the betting lines included as of today. We will be going over our playoffs, who we have winning, and our eventual champion at the end. And to conclude, we will be teasing the top 10 order for the mock draft episode to come next week. Starting first with the Baltimore Ravens, we have them going 14-3. Key losses week 1 in Buffalo. It's going to be a hard game. Then ending the season with Cincinnati, we've given them as a loss. You'll beat New England. At Green Bay is going to be a big game for the Packers. We have the Ravens winning that one. And then losing in a game that won't matter because the 1 seed or the 2 seed will already be finalized against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which we give them a loss. Again, we expect people to be resting week 18. 3 losses will be a top 1 or 2 seed. Stay until the end to figure out which one. Staying in the north, we move to the Bengals. Cincinnati, we have them going 12-5. We have them losing on the road in Minnesota week 3. Losing at home against Detroit. We have them winning the next 4 going into the bye week, before they come off the bye week, losing to the Steelers in Pittsburgh as they split the series. Beat New England there week 12, but then have 2 tough games on the road at Baltimore, at Buffalo. I think they'll drop both of those. And then they end the year with 4 wins, secure their playoff spot as they push into the playoffs. Sticking in the north, we move to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers, we have them going 9-8. Mike Tomlin continues to have a above 500 record in every year that he's coached for the Steelers. Key losses, we have them losing to Seattle in week 2, Minnesota in Ireland. We have them losing to Cincinnati as they split that series, and losing to Green Bay. They also have the tough stretch, back-to-back games against Buffalo and Baltimore, similar to Cincinnati did. We have them losing both of those games. Those are 2 tough opponents. I don't see the Steelers winning. We have them losing to Detroit as well to round out their 9-8 season. Lastly, in the north, we have the 3-14 Cleveland Browns. No secret, nobody's really expecting a lot from this team. Losing Nick Chubb, and then with Quinshon Judkins now having his off-the-field situations, how much is this running game going to get going to set up the pass? Stefanski, great coach for him. Will he make it through the year? We shall find out. We have them winning games against Miami in week 7, week 14 against Tennessee, and then on the road in Vegas beating the Raiders. This isn't a very good team. Could be a better team if the quarterback play pans out. We expect Shedeur Sanders to probably take over the gig after the bye week, week 10. It could be Flacco season all year. It could even be Pickett. Until that kind of irons out here through preseason, we don't think they're going to be a very good team. Really, with Sanders, probably not a good team, as they probably could lose week 7 against Miami, week 12 against the Raiders, and week 14 against the Titans. We had to find the wins. It's hard to think a team's going to go 0-17. This was one of the teams, though, that could go 0-17. Watch them win every game and make us look stupid. We wouldn't be the only ones, so we're confident, thinking a 3-14 season and a top 5 pick is in the Browns' future this season. Up next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, head of the AFC South, finishing at 10-7. Key wins would be at the Niners, week 4, taking on the Rams in London, where the Jags have been able to find a home. Hopefully they can get that win. That's a big one for their culture. We end up losing a bunch of games there, week 10 and 12, against Houston, the Chargers, and the Cardinals, before winning 5 of the next 6 to end the year on a very good stretch. I expect Travis Hunter to come into his own during this, and pending injuries, this should be when the team finally starts to set in here under Liam Cohen. Moving on to the Houston Texans, we have them finishing at 7 and 10. This team needs an O-line upgrade. It's trying its best to upgrade its O-line. The running game could still look good with a Mixon-Chubb duo. Stroud will continue to look better than he did last year. It's hard to match that rookie year that he had, but I definitely can see him doing better than last year. The wide receivers, they have young boys that it will take a second to develop, but once they do, this team will start looking dangerous. That defense will only keep taking a step under DeMeco Ryans, and I see next year being their season. It could be this year. For me, I pump the brakes a little bit as I want to see a few games and see how this O-line develops. We have them winning key games against Jacksonville, Tennessee, the Niners, Indy, Vegas, and Arizona. The kind of easier half of their schedule, but they have a brutal stretch of games to start the year. At the Rams, that's going to be tough. Tampa Bay, they're going to shoot the lights out on you. At Jacksonville, it's going to be pumping. Baltimore, Seattle, both on the road in between the bye. Tennessee on the road. By then, Cam Ward should be looking at his own. That's not just a give-me game. Then you go to Buffalo. Buffalo's going to be hard. Kansas City, the Chargers. All these games are going to be up in the air. They easily could win 3-4 more of these that I have given them an L and be top of the division, 10 and 7, 11 and 6. It's what a lot of people predict. This is probably one team that we are a little lower on than the consensus. Moving on to the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee, we have them finishing 4 and 13. Crazy enough, still not worst in their division. We'll get to the Colts in a second. Cam Ward will start showing his worth, but the team around him just isn't there yet. The O-line is starting to get there and might be the bright spot of them, but look for them to attack a new running back next year. We have them winning a game against the Texans and against the Colts. We gave them both their home games. It easily could be one on the road. We think they're going to win too. They could split with Jacksonville as well, but Jacksonville I think is just a little bit better, at least with skill players, than the Titans are. Other wins include the Patriots and the Saints. Right now we gave them only home wins. Again, it easily could be Cleveland in week 14, the Niners in week 15, Vegas in week 6, or any of the division games. So this team could win more games. I've seen Colin Cowherd call them their sleeper team. I don't see that. I think they're going to need another year at least to develop. But they have good pieces in place, and Cam Ward is going to be the guy. Lastly, the Colts, going 2 and 15, and we generously found the 2 wins against the division. You take those away, it's hard to predict them to get wins. Who's going to be their quarterback? Is it Daniel Jones? Is it Anthony Richardson? We shall find out. Even with Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones, I don't think they're going to be favored in many games. Obviously, we gave them those division games. If you look at the outside of conference schedule, it's hard to find games. The Rams, the Chargers, the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Seahawks, the Niners, all are going to be hard games. Denver, Miami, Atlanta, all hard games. You catch those ones at home, except for the Atlanta one in Germany. I don't see this team traveling to Germany very well. No offense. I think the locker room is going to fall apart after everything we've been hearing for multiple years now. Steichen's one of the first coaches I think will get fired, and I think this team will look to take a new quarterback in 2026, tear some things down, possibly trade Jonathan Taylor. Watch out for that one as he's coming into that big contract year. And look to reset, rebuild their culture, as I know for sure Pat McAfee is not going to be happy with this. But 2-15, again a generous 2-15, as this sneak peek is my worst team in the league. Watch them for pick 1. No one's predicting it. I think they're going to get pick 1. Alright, moving on to the AFC East. We have the Buffalo Bills finishing at 14-3. I think this squad's going to be favored in every game they play, except for one, and that's Week 17 against the Philadelphia Eagles. That game is going to be an all-time game. I can see it equaling that Rams-Chiefs game, 54-51 game. I think they will dominate Baltimore Week 1 at home. That's not going to be an easy place to play. I think Baltimore will come out a little shaky. Look for Buffalo to win here. I think they then start the season winning every game through Week 10 where they play Miami. They tend to drop a game against the division at least. This was the one that I picked that they drop. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if it's looking ahead. I know that playing Chiefs the week before is going to get all of the game plan that maybe the next week the boys just aren't ready. Don't sleep on Tyreek Hill, Waddle, and all those speed too. That speed could get the secondary here at Buffalo. That was the good pick for us to give them as their first loss. I think they then win every game up until those last two. That Philly game, sitting at, what would they be, 14-1 at this point? I think they look at and realize Baltimore's still a game or two behind them. This is their last game of the year. I don't think they were ever going to play anybody Week 18. Expect all the bench warmers. I gave that one to the Jets because they're going to be fighting for their season still. So we gave them the 2 losses there to end the year. Easily could be a 16-1 side. Easily could be 17-0. We don't think it's going to happen. It's not a smart bet to make. So we're going to go with 14-3, your 1 seed with the tiebreaker over Baltimore, going into the AFC and getting the bye. Second place in the AFC, we have the Miami Dolphins, finishing 8-9. Key wins against Buffalo there in Week 10, like we highlighted before. Week 17 against the Bucks, and then Week 6 versus the Chargers. This team could win 10-11 games. This team could win 5 games. That defense is going to decide a lot, and the health of Tua Tagovailoa. Moving on to the New York Jets, we have them finishing at 7-10. Key wins, finishing the season off 3 wins out of 3 against the Saints, Patriots, and Buffalo, as it's just not enough to make the playoffs in a loaded AFC this year. Other wins would be against Tampa Bay and Miami to start the year there in Week 3 and 4. I think Cincinnati before the bye is a tough draw as well, but gives you time to get ready for Cleveland, which needs to be a must-win. I think the biggest question with this squad is 7 wins good enough to keep Fields and not draft a quarterback next year? You're going to have a lot of good quarterbacks, and you're going to have a lot of people saying, Fields isn't the guy. We need to commit long-term to a quarterback, and they don't want to spend the money on a quarterback. I know Fields has a 2-year deal. They could get out of it if they want to next year. They could look to draft his replacement. They could look to get a guy to sit behind him. Who knows what they're thinking? They could keep Fields and give him a new extension. You never really know with New York, as 2 years ago everyone said this team was Super Bowl bound. So I think a realistic 7-win season should be enough that in our eyes, Fields is the guy, and to continue building under Aaron Glenn. Ending the AFC East here with the New England Patriots. I think coming off the late bye, Week 14, is actually going to hurt this team, as I think Baltimore and Buffalo there, Week 15 and 16, are going to be 2 L's. We gave the Jets Week 17, as the Patriots took Week 11's game. This could be flipped. This could both go to New England. You never really know. And then Miami Week 18, we gave to the Dolphins. Again, could go to the Patriots. They could be making that push. We don't quite think so here at Game Changers. Another key loss will be Atlanta week 9, Cincinnati in week 12, and Tampa Bay in week 10. This team is going to make big strides from the team it was last year in Drake May's rookie year, and I think the culture shift under Mike Vrabel alone will bring them more wins, but I don't think it's a playoff team yet. Look for next year and another wave of improvement and young pieces and free agency for this team to be a force in that AFC wildcard. Finishing up now with the AFC West, the Kansas City Chiefs we have going 13-4. This team could win 17 games. This team could win 9 games. There's a lot of opportunities to win games and lose games for this squad. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, I don't count on them to lose many games, but we had to find a few for them to lose. Highlighting one specifically. Week 2 against Philly. That's going to be a very hard game, Super Bowl rematch in Arrowhead. Week 4, hosting again the Baltimore Ravens. A big game for not only the Chiefs, but the Ravens, who could already have lost a game or two by this point. Week 9 at Buffalo. Another hard game as you have Buffalo seeking to dethrone Kansas City in the playoffs. Can it start right here in the regular season? And then all of your division games. I think the Chargers will be hard. I think you easily could lose both of those. A lot of those games after the Broncos, we have the Chiefs being 7-point or more favorites in Indy, Dallas, and Houston. That Charger game will probably be a 3.5-point favorite for the Chiefs. Again, whoever has the ball there at the end, we kind of see winning. Both games we gave the Chargers could have won either way. Titans, that'll be another win for the Chiefs. And finishing the year in Vegas, even with the backups, we gave that one to the Chiefs. Moving on to the Los Angeles Chargers, as we have them finishing 11-6. Losing both games to Kansas City isn't going to be easy, but since you don't get them at home, week 1 it's in Brazil, that game can go either way, and then you have to go to Arrowhead after playing Philly. That's a hard stretch for this team. We gave them the win against Philly, so we're going to give them the loss against the Chiefs. To kind of counteract that, I could see those getting flipped easily. The Chargers will rely heavily on their rookie running back, Omarion Hampton. If he can get going and have a 1,000-yard rushing season, this team is easily a playoff team. If they struggle a little bit out the gates, they could be that 9-8, 8-9 classic Chargers team that get bounced in the playoffs. Key losses will be against the Chiefs both times, Washington in week 5, Minnesota in week 8, as I think Herbert will struggle against that Flores defense, and then week 18 against the Broncos. Speaking of Denver, moving on to the Broncos, we have them finishing at 10-7. Key losses against the Packers in week 15, the Chiefs in week 11, the Vegas Raiders in week 10. Watch out for that one. They will lose one of those games, whether they do it at home or at Vegas. They will lose one of those games. We also have them losing that first 3 little stretch there, the Chargers, Cincinnati, and Philly. I think they slip up, but then they right their wrongs against the Jets in London and bring that momentum back to the States, beating the Giants, beating the Cowboys, beating the Texans. 10-7, this team has every makings of a playoff team, but that AFC is going to be crowded. So stay tuned to see if they make the playoffs. Lastly, in this division, we have the Las Vegas Raiders finishing at 5-12. Pete Carroll has a big task in front of him as he has to completely change the culture of the Raiders. How well will Ashton Genty do in his first year? Or will it be more of a running back by committee approach? We have them winning key games against the Colts in week 5, the Titans in week 6, the Broncos in Week 10, the Cowboys in Week 11, and the Chargers in Week 13. We don't expect much from this team. We do see a top 10 pick in their future. Gino's going to come and stabilize the team and then be able to develop the quarterback behind him next year. Who will that be? Stay tuned next week for the mock draft. Moving on to the NFC, we start in the NFC North and the Green Bay Packers. We had them finishing at 10-7 with key losses throughout the season. Week 2 against Washington, Week 6 versus the Bengals, Week 7 at the Cardinals. Don't know why I called them the Cardinals, but we did. So moving on, a loss to Philly in Week 10, Chicago at home, just like they did last year, Baltimore and Minnesota to end the season. This team is still a playoff team. Stay tuned to see where they finish. Same record here, we have the Detroit Lions, only second place on tiebreaker in the division. As we move on to what their key losses are this year, it's going to be the Rams, the Chiefs, splitting the Vikings, losing both to the Packers, and then the Eagles. Watch this team as they get half of a schedule that they could dominate, and then half of a schedule that deserve to be on prime time television games. Moving on to third place in this division, we gave the Minnesota Vikings with rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy a 9-8 record. This team also could be a 5-win team. This team could do what they did last year and win 13 games just off that defense alone. Moving on to their schedule, we have them winning both Europe games, Week 4 against Pittsburgh in Ireland, and then traveling to London to take on the Browns. They will lose tough games though versus Philadelphia, Detroit, Seattle, Green Bay, Baltimore, and Washington. Moving on to the last team in the North, we have the Chicago Bears. Chicago, we have them finishing at 6-11, as this team could also be a playoff team. A lot of people predict them to be a playoff team. I think they're going to need the year to develop under Brian Johnson and establish this new culture that they are setting. They are in one of the toughest divisions in football, and their record against the division is going to show it. We have them winning 2 games, one versus the Packers in Lambeau in Week 14, and then the first game of the year against the rookie J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings. Their out-of-conference schedule doesn't get much easier, with them having to play Philly, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Washington. We see them losing all 5 of those games. This is going to be a rough season, or a potentially great season for the Chicago Bears. We think they're going to finish with a top 10 pick and be able to continue building this defense up, as that is where the missing pieces could be had. Moving on to the NFC South, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers finishing at 9-8, atop of their division. With key wins against Seattle and the Niners in Week 5 and Week 6 respectively, we have this team steadying their consistency from last year and being one of the best offenses in the sport, with that defense giving up just as many points. This team is by far the best in the division. Baker Mayfield will continue to be a top 5 to 10 player in fantasy football at the quarterback position, and do not sleep on the Bucs. Moving on to the Atlanta Falcons. In Michael Penix's first year here, everything is going to be flowing through Bijan Robinson. They have the offensive makings and a consistent O-line that's been together for a while. They just re-signed McGarry and continue to look for ways to get this offense cooking. Bijan will show that he is one of the best running backs in the sport, as this team easily wins 6-7 games. The hardest piece for this team is going to be, can they do more than the Bucs? For me, I think they're just slightly behind, but the race for this division is solely between these two teams. We'll talk about Carolina and the Saints later, But looking at the schedule here for the Falcons, I think you can easily pick up wins against Miami, New England, and the Jets in your out-of-conference schedule. Also with the Niners and their depleted team, and Indy in Germany. Their losses are going to be tough with Seattle, Arizona, and the Rams in those last 5 games of the season. Third place in this division, we have the Carolina Panthers, and I think even with Bryce Young and all of the doubters, he will have a good season. I just don't think it'll record very many wins at the end of the day. Will they get rid of the former number 1 pick? Time will tell. Another talking point will be head coach Dave Canales. In year 2 with the team, how much longer will he get to be mediocre? Will they fire him, and will he return to one of the best offensive coordinators and quarterback minds in the game? Or will he stay as Carolina's head coach going forward? Key wins we gave them is week 2 versus the Cardinals, week 5 versus the Miami Dolphins, and then 2 in-division wins versus the Falcons and the Saints. Speaking of the Saints, we move to last in the division at 3-14, the New Orleans Saints. I think they're going to have a rough time with quarterback play as we continue to search for the answer. Will it be Spencer Rattler? Will it be Tyler Shuck? Will it be a guy that they draft next year? We shall find out. The few wins we gave them are all in division, as it's really hard to find an out-of-division win for this team. The Titans, the Jets maybe, or Chicago, even the Giants all came to mind. But this team, on paper, could be one of the worst this season. Moving on to the NFC East, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. We have them going 15-2, your number 1 team in all of football. Super Bowl champions are looking to remake the Super Bowl. Can they go back to back? Who will they end up playing? Will they even make it at all? Time will tell. The 2 losses we gave them this year was on week 14 on the road at the Chargers, and week 18 when they bench all of their starters and look for Tanner McKee to be playing in this game against the Commanders. Week 17 versus Buffalo, week 16 versus Washington. These 2 games specifically look for the team to go all out and showcase what they're worth. Moving to Washington, here in second place, finishing at 12-5. Jaden Daniels continues to look amazing after his rookie year. And key losses for this team will be week 16 versus Philly as they split the series, week 13 versus the Broncos, week 10 against the Detroit Lions, and week 7 and 8 against Dallas and the Chiefs, both on the road respectively. Moving on to the Dallas Cowboys, I think start the year fine. I think they look good. Will they re-sign Micah Parsons is the big question. But we all know Jerry Jones and how much he loves to stay in the media. I don't think he pays Micah until at least the start of week 1. Chris Jones didn't get a deal until after their game, which showed the team how much they needed him. I see a very similar thing here as they get beaten up by the Eagles, and then Jerry Jones makes Micah Parsons the highest paid player with a fully guaranteed contract, similar to Jamar Chase's deal earlier this offseason. I have them winning games against the Giants, the Bears, the Jets, the Panthers, Washington in an upset, and then week 9 against the Cardinals before their week 10 bye, and the hard part of their schedule begins. After the bye, I don't see the Dallas Cowboys winning another game. You could convince me that week 11 versus the Raiders or week 18 versus the Giants are wins, but all the other ones are really up in the air, and I don't think they finished the season well. I think you have a lot of people wanting Brian Schottenheimer out after 1 year, and questions will be asked on why Mike McCarthy was not given another year. Dak Prescott will have a $70+ million cap hit next year. Will he still be on the roster going forward? In last place, we have the New York Giants going 5-12. The questions will be asked of their offense. Which quarterback will be getting the majority of the minutes? Will it be Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, or Jackson Dart? With preseason coming up, our questions should be asked on if Dart looks good enough to play or if he's probably a next year outlook kind of player. With Abdul Carter, their first round pick this year, and heavy defensive rookie of the year favorite, and Brian Burns on the other side. Sacks could easily come in waves for this team, but the rest of the team, through injuries and consistency, leave this team up in the air on how good they truly will be this year. With our last division here, we have the NFC West. We have the LA Rams as your division champs going 12-5. You have defensive rookie of the year from last year, Jared Verse, Manny Matt defense, and Matthew Stafford, and Cooper Kupp's replacement, Devontae Adams, pairing with Puka Nacua going forward here. This team is looking to win now with aging quarterback Matthew Stafford and no signs of looking to lose. After the bye week in week 8, we have them only losing one game, week 14 versus the Cardinals, and picking up dubs in every game, including key ones, both against the Seahawks, the Detroit Lions, and the Atlanta Falcons. Moving on to the Seattle Seahawks at 11-6 here, second place. We have them losing key games to Washington after the bye, both games against the Rams, the Niners, Arizona, and Tampa Bay. With new quarterback Sam Darnold, look for this team to shift into way more of the run first, pass second, play action, bootleg offense you saw from the Saints before their offense just fell apart last year. Will Kenneth Walker stay healthy, or will we see a lot of Zach Charbonnet? And lastly, will the offensive line stay together? How many injuries will rattle the team, or will we see finally a consistent 5 guys playing for Seattle? In third place in the NFC West, we have the Arizona Cardinals going 9-8. We have this team starting off hot, going 5-2 into the break with a key win versus the Packers right before the break, before the away part of their schedule come to bite them. Key losses on the road at Dallas, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Houston, Cincinnati, and the Rams could cause this team to be just short of the playoffs. Lastly, we have the San Francisco 49ers going 8-9. Having to pay Purdy caused them to shed a lot of money in other key areas, losing defensive pieces in Hufanga and Greenlaw, and offensive pieces in Deebo Samuel. What will this team look like? You have an injured Ayuk and a Jennings who's sitting out looking for a new contract. Pearsall's coming off of last year where he got shot in the leg. How good will this team be? We pegged them at 8-9 with key wins against the Indianapolises, the Titans, the Cleveland Browns, the Carolina Panthers, one of the Rams games, the Niners games, and the Arizona games, and the Saints. Can they win more games? Yes. Can they lose more games? Yes. For us, this was one of the harder teams to predict. As we see 5 wins, we see 10 wins. Moving on to our award predictions. For MVP, we've given that one to Josh Allen. Fresh off getting married to Haley Steinfeld, he's going to be on a mission this year to add a Super Bowl ring to his cabinet. Honorable mention for MVP, we've given that one to Jalen Hurts. Both of their odds are at plus 600 for Josh Allen and plus 2,000 for Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is going to be the captain, the leader, and the offense for the Philadelphia Eagles, as everything will run through him. Moving on to Offensive Player of the Year, we've given that one to Gibbs, looking for a new level of production with the slot reps that he's going to be getting. Could we see him have a number 1 running back fantasy season, similar to what we've seen from Barkley in the past. Moving on to Saquon Barkley here is our honorable mention. He could have won MVP last year if it wasn't for Jalen Hurts stealing all of those touchdowns, and we don't see him stopping in his production going into year 2 with Philadelphia on their quest for another Super Bowl. Both of the odds for these two players are plus 1,300 for Jahmyr Gibbs to win Offensive Player of the Year and plus 550 for Saquon to win Offensive Player of the Year. Moving on to our honorable mention for Defensive Player of the Year, we have Aiden Hutchinson at plus 700. Coming off of the injury, Dan Campbell has already said in camp that when he breaks through the line and is breaking up the play, to continue letting it play, as it's the only way offense is allowed to get reps so far, because he has just been a monster in camp. This easily could have been our pick. This was the closest one in making the decision. Moving on to our rookies. For Offensive Rookie of the Year, we think that starting running back for the Chargers, Omarion Hampton, if he can eclipse that 1,000-yard rushing total that we've projected him, then he will come home with the Offensive Rookie of the Year. His odds, again, are plus 1,000 for Rookie of the Year. Honorable mention, we've given that one to Travis Hunter, as it looks like the Jags will be starting him on offense more than defense. Could the attention of Brian Thomas on one side free up more one-on-one looks and single coverage looks for Travis Hunter as he quests on his two-way campaign? His odds for Offensive Rookie of the Year are plus 900. Moving on to Defensive Player of the Year, we've given that one to the favorite, Abdul Carter, the number 3 overall draft pick this year. The New York Giants found a good one. He is only a plus 200 right now odds for Defensive Player of the Year, and it's no question on the why. He is going to easily lead the line there with the best player you could have opposite him in Brian Burns. You won't be able to shift the projection. You won't be able to shift the protection left or right as you have two monsters coming off the edge. We think it's going to help him as he gets the Defensive Player of the Year. Honorable mention for us is a sleeper. We've given it to second-round pick Nick Scorton in Carolina. Clear edge number 1 for us coming into that team, as throughout the season he should continue to get more and more reps and look even more feisty and powerful as he did with Purdue and Texas A&M in college. Look for him to destroy 6, 7, 8.5 sacks and have a Jared Verse-like campaign last year. Moving on to Comeback Player of the Year, our honorable mention will be Aiden Hutchinson, as if he wins Defensive Player of the Year, he also will probably win Comeback Player of the Year. Because we included him above, we didn't want to include him here, and to look at other options. We went with Trevor Lawrence to get Comeback Player of the Year off of that nasty concussion he had last year and the dip in production. With the new offensive-minded head coach Liam Cohen and new weapon Travis Hunter, look for Trevor Lawrence to finally live up to the draft stock he was so highly drafted because of. Our honorable mention for Comeback Player of the Year will be Dak Prescott. This offense will be a pass-first offense with Dak, as his stats could single-handedly make him eligible for this award. With the injury last year and the just down play that was the Cowboys, look for him to attempt a comeback season. And finally, our Coach of the Year. We've given this one to Mike McDonald at plus 1,300. The defense is cooking in Seattle with DeMarcus Lawrence adding to that edge room. This team is ready to go now. How much adjustment will the offense needed with new quarterback Sam Darnold, as we look for this team to be a new playoff team going into 2025-2026, and Mike McDonald bringing home your Coach of the Year. Our honorable mention for Coach of the Year is Jim Harbaugh, as in year 2 with the Chargers, we can see him easily making the playoffs with a loaded offense and loaded defense with key players everywhere. As they continue to develop and learn the Harbaugh way, we can see them easily being up there for Coach of the Year. Moving on to our wild card predictions, the teams we had making the playoffs are your 7th seed Denver Broncos, 6th seed Los Angeles Chargers, 5 seed Bengals, and division winners 4 seed Jaguars, 3 seed Chiefs, 2 seed Ravens, and your 1 seed Buffalo Bills. Our matchups look like this. You have the Bengals, 5 seed, traveling to the 4 seed Jaguars. We have the Bengals in a very high scoring, very good game coming out on top in this one. Moving on to the next game, we have the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Los Angeles Chargers, a divisional game going to have so much stakes in this one, and the Chargers just fall short as the Chiefs get it done. Last game of the wild card, we have Baltimore hosting the Denver Broncos. Denver did everything they could to make the playoffs, but it was no match as you played Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Last, we go to the NFC. We have your 7th seed Seattle Seahawks, 6th seed Detroit Lions, 5 seed Washington Commanders, and your division winners, the 4 seed Green Bay Packers, and your division winner, the 4 seed Tampa Bay Bucks, 3 seed Green Bay Packers, 2 seed Los Angeles Rams, and your 1 seed Philadelphia Eagles. In the first matchup, we have Washington beating the Bucks on the road. We have the Lions going into Lambeau and beating the Packers in the upset. And then the Seahawks upsetting the Rams after losing both games in the division during the regular season, get the playoff win to complete a successful season. As we move on to the divisional round here, we have the 5 seed Bengals will play your 1 seed Buffalo Bills in a close game, but one that Josh Allen at home take with ease. Moving on to the other game, you have the Kansas City Chiefs having to go on the road to Baltimore in one of the loudest games of the playoffs. The Chiefs drive all the way down with a minute left and get the win. Lamar will have to wait another year for a Super Bowl appearance. Moving on to the NFC, we have the Seattle Seahawks traveling to Lincoln Financial Field and just not having enough strength to fight with the Eagles, as the Eagles take that one. In the other game, we have the Lions traveling to Washington, and Jaden Daniels shows who he is as a staple quarterback in this league as they get the win over the Detroit Lions. Aiden Hutchinson, we also predict, if this is a matchup, has 4 sacks in this game in a loss. Watch for him to be a monster. And they do everything they can, and it's still not enough because Jaden Daniels is him. In the conference championship games, in the AFC, we have the Chiefs beating the Bills in Buffalo. Yes. How do they keep getting away with this? It's the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Even if the road doesn't run through Arrowhead, Mahomes is still Mahomes. This game, you're going to see a low-scoring, very defensive-focused game. One that we think will literally come down to who has the ball at the end of the game. For us, we gave it to the Chiefs. This game could have been the Bills. The hardest game to pick in the playoffs was this one, no doubt. With the Chiefs winning in the AFC, we move to the NFC. And you guessed it, we had the Philadelphia Eagles beating the Commanders by 5, 6, maybe 7 points. Hell, maybe 10 points. Maybe 1 point. Who knows? We gave that one to the best team in football just to be safe. Again, watch for Jaden Daniels to be him. I think Washington is very close to a Super Bowl caliber team, and they need to pay Terry McLaurin and add just a few more pieces for this team to be legit. Moving to your Super Bowl, we have a Super Bowl rematch. This game probably will be closer than the blowout that we witnessed this year. Could the Chiefs win this and send Kelsey into retirement with a ring? For us, we had the Eagles going back to back as the Philly offense is just too much for the secondary of the Chiefs. Chiefs will have to take another step back as they face a slight rebuild going into back-to-back Super Bowl losses. How much will another loss hinder Mahomes' legacy? Will he be given the Brady treatment or the LeBron treatment? Or will he still be given as the undisputed GOAT of this generation and up there to be better than Brady? This won't be a ring that we have him getting, but easily could happen in real life. Lastly, today we want to talk about our top 10 draft order that we're going to be teasing here for the mock draft to come out next, with pick 1 going to the Colts at 2 and 15. Then you had your 3-win teams in the Saints and the Browns, a 4-win team in the Titans and the Panthers, 5 wins in the Giants, the Raiders, and then you had your 6-win teams in the Patriots, the Bears, and the Cowboys. How many quarterbacks will go in this draft? Not just in the top 10, but total. Let us know down below.